The first thing I did after my hearing recovered was to go find my arch rival, Bailey Ann, for a selection. We've been rivals since we were kids, and in the 3 years since my car accident, she would come up to me and rant, even using sign language to argue with me. She learned sign language specifically to argue with me, no joke. When I arrived at her company, the receptionist smiled and nodded at me, and I nodded back, used to our weekly routine of visiting each other's companies for debugging. As I turned to get on the elevator, I suddenly heard a hushed conversation behind me. The CEO's boyfriend is here to see the CEO again. How cute. Our CEO must be so happy today she'll be smiling ear to ear. I looked back confused. The receptionist, noticing my gaze, stopped her chatter. Before I could think more, the elevator arrived at the top floor. I pushed open the door to Bailey Ann's office, only she was inside. Bailey Ann was sitting on the sofa, looking engrossed in something. Before I even got close, I heard her say, "Darling, when will you fall in love with me?" So she was talking to herself? I stepped closer, wanting to see which unfortunate handsome guy had caught Bailey Ann's eye. The person in the photo looked so familiar. Oh my goodness, it was me. Judging by my youthful face in the photo, it must have been from years ago. Bailey Ann finally noticed me approaching. She was so startled that she quickly covered the photo on the table. She signed, "What are you doing here?" But for the first time, I caught a glimpse of suppressed affection in her eyes. I suddenly had an idea. I hid the fact that my hearing had recovered and continued to watch her, while her sign language was, "Why are you here again? Get lost." Her mouth said, "Oh my darling, can you please kiss me?" I had always thought she was chattering at me because she was mocking me for being deaf. So I signed back, "Why did you steal my photo?" As I signed, I picked up the candid shot of me from the desk. Bailey Ann panicked and quickly snatched the photo back. "What do you mean your photo? This is mine!" Her sign language, though, was, "I just don't want to forget my rival." She took the photo, then mumbled softly, "The photo is mine, and the person is mine too." Her face was flushed all the way to her ears, looking so innocently pure. It was almost noon. Meeting Bailey Ann's expectant gaze, I signed, "I'm hungry. I hope you don't mind treating me to a meal, boss. Bye." Bailey Ann pouted and with a seemingly resentful expression signed, "Poor rich young master, you have to mooch a meal." If it weren't for her muttering, "I really want to personally cook for my darling," I might have actually believed her. I pretended to leave. "If you're not going to treat me, then don't." Just as I reached the door, Bailey Ann grabbed her jacket and chased after me. She tugged on my sleeve and signed, "I'm not so poor that I can't afford a meal. Let's go, my dear young master." I pulled my sleeve back. Bailey Ann was visibly stunned for a second, her eyes turning red like an abandoned kitten. I helplessly signed, "I left in a hurry and didn't bring my glasses. I can't see clearly. Let me hold your hand." Then I reached out and took her hand. Bailey Ann's reaction was delayed by a full minute and a half. She looked at me, then at our clasped hands, trying to suppress the smile on her face. She signed to me, "You're so useless, needing someone to lead you around." On our way out of the company, I heard every employee call me boss, but I had to pretend I didn't know anything. I deliberately chose the most expensive Western restaurant in the financial district. The waitress greeted us warmly. "Are you two a couple? We have a promotional discount for couples. You get 12% off." I was about to nod when Bailey Ann immediately spoke up. "Yes, he's my husband. Please arrange a quiet table for us." After the waitress left, I pretended I didn't hear a thing and asked her, "What did she say to you?" Bailey Ann signed, "She said I was too beautiful and wanted to give us a discount." As we were eating, I suddenly heard a familiar, annoying voice behind me. "Hey, dummy!" The man walked right up to me and poked me. "Oops, I forgot you're a deaf mute now." I looked up and saw the twisted face of Mark, my dad's and my stepmom's son. I was too lazy to deal with him and continued to eat. The woman next to him asked, "Honey, who is this?" Mark said casually, "My dad's dead ex-wife's freeloader." He continued, "Don't worry, she won't get angry. She has a hearing problem and is a mute now. What makes her think she can compete with me for the family inheritance?" I found him pitifully foolish. I wasn't going to respond to his rant, I just kept pretending I couldn't hear. But the next second, Mark yelped. It turned out Bailey Ann had accidentally knocked over the teacup, spilling hot water all over his hand. His hand instantly turned red. "Sorry about that. I did it on purpose. Don't mind me." I looked at Bailey Ann. She was her usual nonchalant self. But Mark couldn't do anything to her. He was fuming, but he couldn't afford to offend Bailey Ann. He turned to leave, but Bailey Ann blocked his path. "Just because you don't mind doesn't mean I don't. Apologize to my darling." Mark could only mumble a soft apology to me, but Bailey Ann still blocked his way. "Is that the best you can do? Don't you know how to apologize with sign language?" "Bailey Ann, you're going too far." Mark and his companion finally left after he said, "I'm sorry." After they were gone, I tried to speak, then remembered I was pretending to be mute, so I quickly switched to sign language. "Bailey Ann, thank you." "No need to thank me, only I can bully you." I just continued to eat, then heard her say, "I don't want a simple thank you. I want you to kiss me." I spit out my drink. Bailey Ann quickly grabbed a napkin. I could only explain that I choked. My face was uncontrollably red. I was doomed. That wasn't sign language. I quickly looked up at her. She just looked confused and signed, "What's wrong?" I bit my tongue. Thankfully, her brain wasn't very quick, so she didn't notice. I'd never paid attention before, but now she really was exceptionally beautiful. I've always known Bailey Ann was pretty. Otherwise, I wouldn't have wanted to kiss her when we were kids. Our rivalry started that day. I blinked and signed to her, "Bailey Ann, you're so pretty." She froze for a second, her eyes wide. When she recovered, she quickly signed, "Is your brain sick?" Her mouth, however, said, "I'm so pretty, darling. Why won't you kiss me?" That evening, I got home and my dad threw his teacup at me. Hot tea drenched my shoes. "You have the audacity to come back?" I glanced at a tearful Mark next to him and my stepmom, who was watching me with feigned hatred. I quickly figured out what had happened. I turned to go upstairs. Since I couldn't hear them anyway, they couldn't do anything. But Mark grabbed my arm and pulled me down. I almost fell down the stairs. My stepmom pulled out her phone and typed, "I can't believe I raised you to bully your brother inside with outsiders." Outsiders? Bailey Ann? They couldn't mess with Bailey Ann, so they took it out on me. I thought to myself, I won't be able to talk back to them, but I certainly won't help outsiders. I really wished I could continue being deaf so I didn't have to listen to their harsh words. Who are you calling outsiders? I rolled my eyes and typed on my phone for my dad to read. I don't know what you're talking about. I ran into Mark at noon. A little later, he apologized to me and left. I don't know what's wrong with him. That's what happened. I didn't say a single word. Mark was so angry he was shaking. I know it's my fault for being so weak that they can bully me, but I can't believe you'd let Bailey Yan humiliate me like that. When I provoked her at noon, that wasn't how she was acting. A normal person would know it's hard to be provocative when you can't hear. My dad asked Mark, "Did you do something to upset Boss Bai? Our little Mark is so well behaved, someone must be taking advantage of him." My stepmom immediately got defensive. Mark started to put on an act as well, crying and wailing, "I don't want to live anymore. I'd rather jump off a building." This trick always works on my dad. Seeing his beloved wife and son crying, my dad didn't care about the truth and demanded that I apologize. The words on the phone screen were glaring. "No matter whose fault it is, Leo Yan, you have to apologize to Mark." Even though I'd been through this countless times since childhood, my heart still ached. I clenched my fists and then let go. "I will not apologize to Mark. If you don't, then don't consider me your father anymore." Fine by me. I turned to go upstairs. My dad's authority was challenged, and he became enraged, picking up the hot water bottle and throwing it at me. I dodged it, but the water still scalded my arm. I went back to my room and locked the door. Then I skillfully found the medicine box and started treating my wound. I had just finished wrapping the bandage and was getting ready for bed when Bailey Ann's video call came in. As soon as I answered, she signed, "Just checking to see if you're still alive." She called me every night. She signed, "Why are your eyes red?" "Nothing." "You're not okay," she signed, frowning. "Did someone bully you?" She had just said it casually, but she was right. My tears finally fell, and I curled up on the bed and cried. When I was done, I tried to control my emotions. Bailey Ann had already hung up. I felt a pang of sadness. Just as I was about to go to bed, I heard someone knocking on my window. I opened the window. Under the moonlight, Bailey Ann was on my windowsill. She couldn't use her hands to sign, so she just looked at me pitifully. I reached out and pulled her up. "Why are you here?" Bailey Ann didn't look at my sign language. Instead, she grabbed my arm. "Who did this?" "Who else? That old man in this house. Your dad, right?" "That bastard. He's his own son and he tries to kill him." After cursing my dad, she pointed at me. "Can't you fight back? Can't you dodge?" I shrugged helplessly. I dodged, but I still got hit. I tried to look relaxed, not wanting to reveal my weakness to my biggest rival. But the next second, she pulled me into a hug. I quickly heard Bailey Yan say, "Why do you always get hurt? It's all my fault. I didn't protect you." My suppressed tears finally flowed. Bailey Yan quickly let go of me. She nervously signed, "Don't cry. If you don't want a hug, we won't. I just heard online that hugs can heal a person's heart. You know I've always been kind. I'm telling the truth." But she didn't dare to look into my eyes, and she signed with a hint of irritation. "I've always been stubborn since I was a kid." Thinking of this, I smiled through my tears. Bailey Ann signed, "Crying and laughing? Are you crazy?" But she said, "Darling, you look so much prettier when you smile." I grabbed her hand, which was flailing around nervously. As I got closer, I felt her body tense up. Before she could react, I stood on my tiptoes and kissed her lips. They were just as soft as I remembered from when we were kids. The position was a bit uncomfortable, so I quickly tried to pull away. But the next second, Bailey Ann, who had now come to her senses, held my waist tightly and deepened the kiss until I couldn't breathe. She finally let go, her face full of lingering pleasure. She signed, "Leo Yan, you're a pervert," looking like a pure, violated girl. If I hadn't heard her say, "Darling kissed me, so he has to take responsibility, right? We'll get married tomorrow. You wouldn't just kiss someone you don't like, would you?" I'd have believed her act. She was so loud, and I was afraid I wouldn't be able to control my expression, so I turned my back to her. My lips couldn't help but turn up. Bailey Yan, however, thought I didn't want to take responsibility. She got agitated and signed frantically. "Don't tell me you just kissed me to practice your technique. I don't accept that excuse. You have to take responsibility for me." Can she please give me a break? My hearing just recovered, and my ears were starting to ache. By the time I had finally composed myself and turned back, she had been silent for a while. But now, looking at Bailey Yan's eyes, I suddenly felt that a long-awaited love might be nice. But before I could explain, Bailey Yan had already started signing. "Don't say it, I get it. I'm your practice tool, right?" "Tool? Don't worry, I know the rules. I don't need you to take responsibility." She signed with her head down, but her eyes were secretly red, tears welling up. I was speechless. I shrugged and signed to her. "Then according to the rules, I don't need you. You can go." Bailey Yan turned and left, and I heard her crying. After she was gone, I regretted it. This broken sign language, just like my mouth, always says the opposite of what I mean. I couldn't swallow my pride. In the end, I could only call my good friend abroad, Ethan Chan, for help. When I answered the video call, he immediately asked, "Your hearing has recovered?" "Yes, wait, how do you know?" "When you lost your hearing and couldn't talk, your eyes had a kind of innocence that wasn't corrupted by cussing. Besides, I remember the doctor said it was only temporary and you would definitely recover. The first rule when dealing with an illness is to stay calm." "Oh, so that's it," I said. Just as I was about to talk, he continued. "So Bailey Yan knew about this all along. She was so desperate when she heard you lost your hearing that she almost gave you her ears. She even tried to stop the driver who hit you. Bailey Yan did all of that for me?" Ethan looked shocked. "You don't know? I just remember getting hit by a car on the street and waking up to see Bailey Yan sitting by my bed, signing at me. I couldn't hear and hadn't learned sign language yet, so I didn't understand. I just thought she was there to mock me. You two were so angry with each other after the breakup. You really hated each other." "We never even dated," I sighed, looking up at the ceiling. "I could have been with her tonight, but I missed the opportunity." "You guys weren't together? I thought you two were a couple who broke up, and that's why you were so hateful. I even thought you broke up with Bailey Yan. Then why were you two at each other's throats for so many years?" I fell silent. I was brainwashed to be a winner, to be first, and I was used to fighting for first place. especially with Bailey Yan. My mind came back to the present. I explained the dramatic events of the past few days to Ethan. What should I do? Should I go and explain everything to Bailey Yan? I'm a little hesitant. It might be too impulsive. You're so close. Ethan pushed his glasses up. Listen to me. Put your noble, unyielding head away for a while and go explain it to Bailey Yan. Otherwise, you'll regret it. I felt he was right. But before I could go find Bailey Yan, she came to me first. I had a busy day at work and didn't have time to go find her. When everything was done, it was already evening. Just as I was leaving the company, I got a message from Bailey Yan. See you at the bar. If you don't come, you're a coward. I laughed. Bailey Yan, is this how you treat your husband? But I couldn't deny that this kind of provocation was especially effective on me. 20 minutes later, I arrived at the bar. I had to prove her wrong. I immediately saw Bailey Yan sitting in the center of a group of people, looking rebellious and alluring. As I was about to go say hello, I heard someone say, Boss Yan is fighting with her husband. Bailey Yan opened and closed her phone, staring at the same chat interface without a word. Another person added, if you ask me, Boss Yan is so excellent, she could find any man she wants. Shut up, Bailey Yan said, annoyed. When she saw me, her eyes, which had been so aggressive, instantly softened. She rushed over and pulled me into a hug. The drunk person who had been so aggressive was now just gentle. She signed to me, why are you here? It's so loud in here. I heard her call me darling several times. Bailey Yan was completely drunk. She pulled me into her arms, her voice aggrieved. You finally came. Why didn't you come when I was dead? You'd be happy, wouldn't you? One less rival. You're heartless, Leo Yan. If I die, I'll haunt you. I couldn't hear her shouting. I pulled Bailey Yan out of the bar and put her into the car, not caring about her struggles. We went back to my place. Bailey Yan sat quietly on the sofa. Even drunk, she remembered to use sign language. She asked, why did you bring me to your house? Leo Yan, you're so scheming. After signing, she crossed her arms, as if she would rather die than give in. I frowned and sat on her lap. This time her neck turned red too. She frantically signed, get down! I finally revealed the truth that my hearing had recovered. I leaned in close to her ear and whispered, I can hear you now. You can just talk to me. Bailey Yan freaked out. You can hear? Since when? Maybe. Since the time you were staring at my photo and calling me darling. You heard wrong. I was calling you old pervert. I'm leaving. But Bailey Yan, I really like it when you call me darling, I said teasingly. My voice had just trailed off when Bailey Yan, no longer able to control herself, pressed my head down and kissed me. Just as I was getting into it, Bailey Yan pushed me away. No, don't trick me. You won't take responsibility. Her voice was aggrieved. I never said I wouldn't take responsibility. I'm not that kind of person. Bailey Yan, I like you a little too. The only response was silence. I watched her expression, a little shocked. Then the hand on my waist suddenly tightened. Bailey Yan's voice became serious. Could you please write me a note? What for? A note proving you'll take responsibility. I was speechless. I wrote a 1,000-word note and handed it to her. Now do you believe me? She nodded as if she had just figured it out. My darling, so we're in a mutual crush. That's not it. I really did see you as a rival at first. I only realized my feelings later. Bailey Yan, if you liked me, why didn't you ever say anything? You have the audacity to say that? Did you not pay attention? Did I not say it before? Her eyes were filled with resentment. In sophomore year, I tried to get close to you and you said I had ulterior motives. The night before a competition, I wrote you a love letter and you thought I was showing off my writing skills. There was something like that. I had thought it was a love letter writing competition. You wrote 18 letters, and I was so lucky to be your rival, but I didn't have to win. I just wanted to stand next to you when we received our awards. As she spoke, her hand wandered to inappropriate places. I stopped her. She then said something I couldn't believe. Darling, let's have a competition. What competition? I didn't get it. Bailey Yan whispered in my ear. A competition of stamina. This time, Bailey Yan won completely. My coworkers only know that I'm dating the CEO of a rival company. Every day, Bailey Yan appears at my company, more often than an official employee. As soon as I entered my office, she locked the door. Before I could react, she pushed me against the wall. Bailey Yan, what are you doing? This is a company. What if someone sees us? I'd be mortified. But she didn't seem to care. She took my hand and put it inside her shirt. The real warm feeling was overwhelming. Seeing my blush, her eyes flashed with a sense of accomplishment. When I looked away, she pulled me into a hug, her small body almost completely hiding me. She shook her head and continued. You bit me too hard last night. Stop it, I whispered, covering her mouth. I was afraid I'd hear more, but Bailey Yan wouldn't give up. With her innocent-looking face, she bit my hand, her eyes filled with love. I quickly pulled my hand away. I'll go get you some ointment right now. In what capacity are you getting me medicine? She hugged me tightly, determined not to let me go. You better say it, or I won't let you go. She needed me to say husband. Fine, I'm your husband. Happy now? The car accident that damaged my hearing. I've always suspected it wasn't an accident. After I recovered my hearing, I went back to my mom's old house. The first thing I heard was Mark's angry voice. Leo Yan is a piece of trash. Why does he get the inheritance? I'm my dad's favorite son. My stepmom said, the old man is so stubborn. I was about to go downstairs when I heard another familiar voice. No matter what, he's still my son. He has to listen to me. It was my dad. They thought I couldn't hear them, so they were planning openly. I stood quietly at the corner of the stairs and watched their ugly faces. My stepmom said, what if he doesn't listen? Won't Mark and I be on the streets? Mark immediately burst into tears. Dad, I don't want to be on the streets. I'd rather die. He was pretending to be weak. This was my dad's last resort. He said, he is my son. He has to have the right of inheritance, right? You mean like 3 years ago? My stepmom's words made me gasp. An accident can happen once and it can happen a second time. The most terrifying thing was that it wasn't an accident. The empty road, the out-of-control car, it was all coming right at me. I didn't have time to react. When I was in a coma, my dad had me sign a waiver. I had suspected my stepmom and Mark, and even my dad for protecting them. Now I know I was wrong. My dad was the mastermind. I asked Bailey Yan to help me investigate the car accident. I sighed as I looked at the thick stack of documents in my hand. It's all because of this driver, Bailey Yan said. He dropped out of junior high school, but he had a very handsome boyfriend. His boyfriend was a student, but when he got into college, he dumped useless for being poor and became a sugar baby for a rich woman. We looked at each other and she nodded. Yes, your stepmom. I looked at the timeline in the documents. It matched up with Mark's birth. Bailey Yan saw what I was thinking. I've already had a paternity test done. There's no genetic link with Mark's father. It was so funny. Bailey Yan gave him a little money and he told us everything about the plan. My stepmom gave him $1 million to hit someone. He didn't want to do something illegal, but my stepmom told him Mark was his son. We had video evidence. Bailey Yan asked, should we go to the police station now? No, I shook my head. 3 years ago, it was intentional assault. But my life wasn't in danger. They would only get a few years. That punishment is too light. They want to reenact the accident? Fine, let's do it again. It's probably strange for someone to be so calm after finding out their own dad tried to kill them, but it didn't surprise me. Bailey Yan didn't say anything, but she held my hand tightly, reassuring me. My dad was acting uncharacteristically warm to me, and I pretended to be touched. For my 26th birthday, he gave me a sports car. I was told it was worth millions, but it had a faulty brake pad. I flaunted the car to Mark every day. Seeing his dark, ugly face, I knew my dad hadn't told Mark his plan. The weather was perfect that day. When my car was missing, I called the police because it was a valuable car that I had never driven. The officers were taking down my report when one of them rushed in. There was a car accident on Anlu Road. A middle-aged woman was killed. The driver ran away. He showed the crime scene photos to the officer taking my statement. The officer looked at us. Are you sure the car you lost was EG? I shook my head. No, the car should still be in my garage. We just came to file a report in case it got stolen. We arrived at the crime scene. It was cordoned off. The ambulance had just left. I heard that a well-dressed middle-aged woman had been killed instantly. The preliminary investigation showed that the cause of the accident was a faulty brake pad. How could the brake pads in my car be faulty? My dad just bought it last month. Officer, this is a serious matter. We can't let the manufacturer get away with this. I pushed open the door to my dad's study, only he was inside. A wave of blood-like smell hit me. My dad's knife was still in his hand, and Mark was lying on the floor in a pool of blood. He was the one who drove the car that caused the accident and ran home to my dad for help, not knowing that he had killed his own mother. A few hours ago, I had sent the paternity test results to my dad. He was in a rage. Mark had lost too much blood and couldn't be saved. My dad finally confessed. The faulty brake pads, the attempted murder, and the murder of Mark. It was all his doing. This was enough to get him a death sentence. Everything was back on track. Bailey Yan and I were still rivals, but also the best partners. At that moment, I finally understood that love can be so beautiful. Bailey Yan was the most special person in my life, and I could finally bravely respond to her feelings. From then on, we still competed at work, but in life, we were each other's most intimate partners. She would give me a warm hug when I was tired, and I would help her when she was troubled. We were no longer just rivals, but each other's family. I know I will spend my life with Bailey Yan through countless seasons, and every day will be even better because of her.